Welcome to Behind the Man, where the man I'm behind is currently in front of me. Richard, how are you?
I'm very well, Dougie. How are you?
Good, good. Now, Richard, are you a 20-year overnight sensation as you've been in the TV game for many seasons, haven't you?
I have, yeah. I've worked in telly maybe 25 years or something, always behind the camera, making loads of things, quiz shows, reality shows, stuff like that. And yeah, so I mean, people, you know, I'm only being interviewed because now I'm in front of camera, and that, you know, that's treated very differently. But yeah, most of my career has been behind the camera. Most of my career still is behind the camera. I still make more shows than I present.
Oh, so just what are the shows that you're currently making that you're not presenting at the moment?
What are we doing at the moment? Well, Cats Does Countdown is one of mine, which is a brilliant, fun one to do. Would I Lie to You? All sorts really, and then just pitching new stuff, which is my job here at Endemol, really, is come up with new stuff, pitching new stuff, trying to sell it abroad, you know, getting second series of things, you know, and just working with the creative teams here. And that's been my career forever and ever and ever. And I just have this weird Bob Holness style cul-de-sac where I'm on tea time telly, but people here still seem to have the same lack of respect they've always had to me, so it seems to be working for me.
Do you have a title here, like development supervisor?
I'm creative director.
Oh, that sounds lovely.
I know, I have been for a long time, through thick and thin.
Yeah, it's almost like, it sounds like something that would be someone who's employed at B&Q or something with paints and something, the creative decorator.
I would love that. You know that bit where they match anything you take in?
Yeah.
You know, that's a gig I would like. Because that must be a load. I think I would enjoy that.
You know the shows that you've worked on over the last 20 years from a production point of view, what would be your greatest hits? What are some of them?
Oh, goodness. Well, I mean, greatest hits is interesting. The ones that made the most money, well, Deal or No Deal, was a roaring success.
That went all over the world, didn't it?
All over the world. I mean, it didn't start in the UK. It started in Holland, but in the Netherlands, as an end game to a lottery show, and we turned it into what it is now, and that's it's everywhere. I mean, everywhere. I mean, it's made. I mean, it must have made $1 billion by now. It must have done.
Thank you, Mr. Banker.
So you must have made a lot of money on the back of. I mean, in your role as creative
director.
director.
Listen, I'm okay. I can afford pick and mix at the cinema.
Yeah. So that is your greatest hit, if you will, as far as...
That was a big... I mean, Big Brother is a big show we do here, but I wasn't particularly involved. I wasn't really particularly involved in that. I created a show, Survivor, which was the first ever reality show.
Yeah.
Which Big Brother is sort of a kind of...
Is that the one that Ben Fogle was in?
No, Survivor is the thing that launched in the States before Big Brother.
Right.
And it's the one that really is the most profitable TV show in the history of the world.
Once again, immunity is back up for grabs. For today's challenge, you are going to hang from a bar for as long as you can. After 20 minutes, you'll be allowed to use your legs only. Once you drop from the bar, you're out of the challenge. Last person left hanging wins immunity, is safe at the vote. Losers, somebody will be voted out and sent to Redemption Island.
I made 0 pence off that because I was a very young man. But you live and learn. You live and learn. It's absolutely fine. I don't hold any resentment about that. Total Wipeout was a show I absolutely loved doing. It was also a lovely big hit over here. £1 Million Drop, which is one of ours again, wasn't a show that I created, but developed up, and that was the most profitable show in the world in the last couple of years. So, you know, every now and again you've got to have these big hits where you sell in 200 countries, and then that allows you to do the kind of fun ones that you enjoy doing.
The Fake News Show on Channel 4, Two Tribes on BBC 2, of course, Pointless on BBC 1. You are, as a host presenter, on-screen talent, you're cross-channel. No doubt inundated now with offers, but what would be your perfect show to host?
Oh, that's a very good question. I mean, Pointless is kind of my perfect show because I get to be myself, and listen. I didn't set out to be a television presenter in any way whatsoever. It wasn't part of my scheme, and so I only do things I enjoy, because you know it could all end tomorrow and I'll just go back and do my day job forever and ever, and I'd be quite happy. So I do stuff I enjoy. I got very excited when I got asked to do Have I Got News For You for the first time, because I used to write on that years and years ago. One of my first jobs.
I didn't know that, did you? Wow.
So that was a real treat, and I've done that 5 or 6 times now, which is lovely. I loved doing QI, doing Question of Sport was great. And so, you know, I'm always looking at people offer things and that I'm quite hard to pitch to because I've spent my life being pitched to and pitching to other people, and I immediately can see if something works, and B, if it would work for me. So I turn almost everything down. But sometimes things come along, like Child Genius on Channel 4, they asked if I would do. And I loved the first couple of series of that, and I really I liked the kids on it, and I just thought I could do a job there. So I could really see there's something that I could do on that show to make it, if not better, at least not worse. And so I said yes to that. But most things I will say no to. And then Insert Name Here that I do with Josh Widdicombe and Sue Perkins, I said yes because I love the people who make it, and I love Josh and I love Sue, and I thought that would be a treat. So by and large, I think, would it be fun and could it be a hit? And if it's both of those things, then I would usually say yes to it.
I just feel lucky that you said yes for this interview, if
It's
that's how much you're turning down.
Absolute pleasure, Dougie. I'm a big Dougie Anderson fan.
Can you say that?
Huge fan of what you do. Huge fan.
Thank you. Fake news show.
Yes.
You delivered an impassioned speech on the dangers of fake news.
Mm-hmm.
And it was met with this spontaneous outbreak of audience applause. Are you fast-tracking to Claire Balding National Treasure status?
No, I don't think so. I think that I'll leave that to Claire. I think that, listen, it's very weird being on television. It's very peculiar, and I, obviously throughout my whole career, I've worked with people who are on screen, and by and large, they are, you know, they're an interesting bunch. Some of them are lovely. Some of them are harder to work with, but it's an ego business. It really is an ego business. And, you know, being in front of camera is, you know, you have to ask yourself a lot of questions about yourself and who you are and how you come across and what people think of you that you wouldn't necessarily be thinking otherwise. And I've always taken the view that the only healthy way through it is to be yourself as much as you possibly can. Literally be yourself. So with something like the fake news show, I was sitting there, I thought, well, it's fun and we're doing a few jokes, but there is something I really want to say. Mm-hmm. So just say it. And, you know, so I just try and be as close to myself as I possibly can be, but with less swearing.
Do you know who else once said something like that? Claire Balding.
There you go, you see.
You touched on something interesting though. If you do something and you're being yourself, you're being authentic to what you do, and someone criticises it, you can take that on the chin because you think, well, they just don't like me, they don't like how I do it in my natural way. If you're trying to pretend to be someone else or try and put on a persona and someone slags it off, then it's kind of fair game, isn't it?
I think that's exactly it. I think when you get people who are not quite themselves on telly and they get slagged off, you see it affects them far more because actually that's their brand, that's their thing. And they think, oh, is my brand at stake here? Whereas if you're being yourself, I've been me for 46 years now, you know, I'm not going to really change a huge amount. So, yeah, look, you don't want people criticising you, but people do, I believe. I believe on Twitter sometimes people get angry about various things. I don't really look at it. But yeah, I think if you are authentic, it's really, really, well, I don't see another way through it. But, you know, I know people who aren't authentic on telly, and I worry for their mental health sometimes.
We all do. You've recently ventured into acting. Very exciting. I'm talking, of course, about the BBC show Murder and Successful with Tom Davis, the great Tom Davis. Yeah. How did you find that?
It was amazing. I loved it. Murder and Successful, again, it's another show that's made here. It's another Endemol show, Tiger Aspect, who are one of the brands here, they made it. And so, you know, right from episode 1 of series 1, and, you know, they've been in the building and they're brilliant, and Tom Davis is just fabulous and the nicest guy in the world as well. And in the second series, they said, would I do one? And listen, my kids love that show. I love that show. I wasn't able to do one, but in the third series, I was. And honestly, it's just about the most fun I've ever had making telly. It was a ball from start to finish. You know, like a proper film crew. You know, ridiculously talented improvisers. It was cold and it was in Dagenham. But that aside, Dagenham very nice, by the way. I'm an Essex boy, so don't write in. Yeah. It was brilliant. We had such a laugh. I mean, and it's coming. I don't know when it's coming out, but it'll be soon-ish. But it was just a book. I mean, I loved it. I absolutely loved it, and I got to dress up as a policeman, and that, you know, I was so happy. I
just wonder, the way that your career's going, you do have that kind of everything touches turn to gold. You go from this to that, and everything seems to work. It sounds like this is going to work, and now I wonder if you're going to do more acting on the back of this. If offers are going to come in that you won't screen, that you will say, do you know what? This might get me out of my comfort zone. But as we both know, a lot of the time, that's where the magic happens.
Do you think? No, I'm a firm believer in staying in your comfort zone. I always have been. Well, you know what? I'll get out of my comfort zone, but only as far as I can still get the Wi-Fi that's in my comfort zone, and I won't go further than that. I would never act. I can't act. It's impossible. You try and act, and it's like I did an episode of Not Going Out with Lee Mack, where he was playing on Pointless, and me and Xander had to play ourselves, and it's impossible. I don't know how anyone does it. I don't know how anyone acts. You stand there, and go, well, I don't know. What do you want from me? It's like, do you want me to say some stuff and pretend I just thought of it? I found it impossible. I'd quite like to be, the one thing I would really like to do is be a wookie in one of the Star Wars movies, because I'm 6'7".
Yeah.
And Peter Mayhew, who was Chewbacca, and still is Chewbacca, was 6'7" as well. So I could be a wookie, I think. And then there's not a lot of acting, really.
So being a Wookiee would be your ideal acting job?
I would love that. If you're watching, George, I'm available.
If you're watching, George, I'd love to do a Behind the Man with you too. Sorry, but...
You'd be a good stormtrooper as well, Dougie. Why don't you be a stormtrooper? I'll be a Wookiee.
Just happy to be involved.
Love that. I'd do it for free. I would pay, in fact.
I know, but you've made a lot of money in TV rights. I would do it for a nominal fee. Here's something: if you felt that acting made you a little bit uncomfortable out of the comfort zone, how do I approach this? You officially became a heartthrob when Heat magazine named you in your Crush Awards.
Yeah.
In their Crush Awards.
Yeah.
Did life change much after that?
Do you know what? Strangely, it didn't. It remained roughly where it had always been. Is the truth. No, I mean, listen, that's one of the many things that come along with presenting. Is people have an opinion on you, and they have an opinion on you in every possible way, and that's fine. And I think if you were 20 or 25, you could see how it would drive you mad. I think when you're 40, you kind of think, well, I don't really mind. So listen, I was deeply comfortable with it. I was deeply comfortable to wear the crown, but it's not at the top of my CV.